Rado is an ordinary man who has no romantic interest and feels like nothing is happening in his life. However, after a global pandemic wipes out 99% of men, he is now forced to repopulate the planet one step at a time. It all begins when Rado confesses his feelings to his beautiful colleague Alisa, saying that he has loved her for a long time. She adds that he has been diagnosed with a terminal illness called cellular sclerosis, and that it will take 5 years to find a cure, which means he will be put into hibernation until then. He tells her that he will ask her out when he wakes up, but she is saddened that it will take 5 years. That same afternoon, Rado arrives at the hospital ready to be put into hibernation. There, his sister Mahiru hugs him and tells him that she will miss him, while her brother assures her that everything will be all right. As he's about to enter the cold storage room, Alisa appears, begging to see him one last time, so the nurse lets her in. Weeping, she says goodbye to Rado, gives him his pendant, and asks him to keep it safe until he returns. As Rado faints, he worries about being left behind, but Alisa promises to wait for him, which reassures him. 5 years later, Rado opens his eyes and sees a woman named Mira, who looks remarkably like Alisa, only more vibrant and attractive. Later, as they leave the hospital, she introduces herself as his dedicated assistant and explains that a new virus has wiped out a large number of people. When she mentions that the world's population has been cut in half in the last 4 years, Rado thinks Mira is lying and rushes out of the car to see things for himself. Soon, Rado is surrounded by women and runs away wondering why he hasn't seen any single guys yet. Then Mira catches up to him and tells him that the virus only attacks men and that it wiped out almost all the men on the planet. She explains that he's resistant to the virus thanks to the cellular sclerosis treatment he received. She also mentions that there are only 5 men in the world who are immune to the virus, and since he's one of them, he's a valuable asset to humanity. While Rado is processing this, a very eager girl tries to jump on him, but Mira's guard stops her and knocks her unconscious. Mira then tells him that the only way to save humanity is for him to become a complete stud and sleep with all of them. The next day, Rado learns about the United Women's Group, an international organization working to develop a vaccine, but so far it remains unfinished. However, they discovered a glimmer of hope when they found a young man in cold sleep who was resistant to the virus. This person was called Number 1, and since there are others like him, they are programmed to be awakened one by one to save humanity. Seeing this shocks Rado, and while he's processing everything, Mira tells him to refrain from going out in public because it would cause chaos. She then bows and begs him to have as many offspring as possible to save humanity. Rado suggests the artificial method since he's uncomfortable being around 5 billion girls, but Mira tells him they already tried it and it didn't work. Currently, the Number 1 has already impregnated a woman, and everyone is relying on the offspring's immunity. Rado still thinks this is a big joke, so Mira brings Mahiru along, hoping to convince him. Rado is somewhat relieved to see her and discovers his brother is fast asleep. Later, he asks about Alisa, and Mahiru tells him she's been missing for 3 years. Rado is furious to hear this and grabs his phone to call her, but no one answers. That night, Mira reports to her superior from the women's group and gets reprimanded for not having managed to get Rado to sleep with anyone yet. So that night, as Rado lies in bed thinking about Alisa, Mira enters wearing a silk robe, leaving Rado stunned. Without hesitation, she reveals her body, trying to get intimate with Rado and leave him exhausted for the night. She leans in to kiss him, but when it's time to pounce, Rado remembers Alisa and pushes her away. When Mira asks if she's not his type, he tells her she can't be having fun when the world is falling apart. Hearing this, Mira apologizes and leaves, but as she exits, the Number 1's assistant, Nini, mocks her for not being able to get intimate with Rado. Nene then suggests that her master Kyoji have sex with her, but Mira rejects her, insisting that she only wants Rado. Later that night, Rado remembers the pendant he gave Alisa before entering cold sleep and realizes that his location tracking is still active. The next morning, Mira improves her strategy and gives Rado access to a pool of attractive women, hoping they'll make his day long and difficult, but the young man still refuses to choose just anyone. When Mira tells him that even men who still sleep in the cold are destined to die in time, he finally grasps the gravity of the world's situation. So he begs Mira to give him a month to find Alisa, because she's the only person he wants to sleep with. Mira agrees, but only on the condition that he spends the night with a woman of his choosing, as they're running out of time. The next morning, Kyoji receives a heavenly massage from 2 models, and while he's enjoying it, Nene enters and tells him it's time for action. She shows him a list of girls ready to be with him, so he decides to settle for Rina, a stunning movie star with a great physique. When Rina enters his room, he feels her face and finds it hard to believe he's about to be in bed with such an attractive girl. Without wasting any time, Rina shows him her body, and he doesn't hesitate to try her out, wondering how she can be so good. After that, he decides to get down to business and paint his masterpiece, so he makes love and makes sure to leave plenty of his essence. Later that morning, while having breakfast, Rado is charmed by his food, so Mira tells him it's thanks to the chefs. Her organization hired from all over the world. Hearing this, Mahiru gets a little jealous because Rado is getting all the special treatment, while Rado notices that Mira is eating a lot. When he comments on her appetite, she says that nutrition is important, which makes him wonder how she maintains her small figure. But when he notices the size of her assets, he realizes that's where all the food is going, which makes Mahiru even more jealous, and she leaves, feeling depressed. fast. A while later, Mira tells Rado that she's assigning him a nurse and a bodyguard for his safety, and that they'll sleep with him every night. Rado gets flustered when he hears this, so he mulls it over as he heads to his room to freshen up. On the way, he runs into Kyoji, who tells him they should get along since they're two of the few active guys in the world. It turns out Kyoji already knows about Rado's issues, so he tries to convince him to get some action. However, Rado still insists on remaining celibate, so Kyoji walks off, telling him they're going to have a field day getting it on with all the models. In the shower, Rado thinks about what Kyoji said and admits that being with so many women sounds fun, but he's determined to find Alisa. Before he knows it, the lights go out, and as he struggles to get out of the shower, he finds himself touching something soft and squishy. It turns out they are the attributes of a young girl, and although Rado is surprised, the girl ignores him as if it's no big deal and introduces herself as Akane. She then pours a chocolate drink into her mouth and gives it to Rado with a kiss, causing his temperature to rise. Seeing this, she returns to calm him down with a onesie, but Rado only lasts 2 seconds before releasing his essence everywhere and fainting. When he wakes up, he is surprised to find a girl named Sui in his bed, but calms down when he realizes she might be his nurse. The next day, he walks around with bags under his eyes because he couldn't sleep with Akane and Sui in the same bed. He's currently at Alisa's old workplace, searching for clues that might help him find her. But before he can reach her office, a bear escapes its cage and starts attacking everyone. As the bear charges at Sui, Rado reacts quickly and saves her from being torn apart, but Akane yells at him to do his job. Instantly, Sui's eyes roll back, and she delivers a fatal blow to the bear, knocking it unconscious. Seeing this shocks Rado, and he immediately realizes that Sui is his bodyguard, not Akane, as he had thought. While Mira yells at the staff for being careless with security, the mysterious girl behind the bear observes everything and then hides. Later, Rado enters Alisa's old office and learns that someone broke in and stole all her research documents. When he discovers that Alisa was researching the virus, he's shocked, but an old photo of them together triggers a memory. He recalls a time when Alisa's dog was sick, and since there was no medicine to cure it, Alisa decided she would become a doctor to work on a cure. Seeing her determination, Rado decides he will also become a doctor so he can help with her research. Reflecting on all of this in the present, Rado tells Mira that it will take a long time to repopulate the world with his seed and decides that instead he will find a cure for the virus. This way, all the humans in the cold sleep can awaken and repopulate the Earth. A few days later, he appears on live television and announces his existence, along with his intention to develop a cure. As his broadcast reaches the entire continent, Alisa sees him and realizes he is alive. Later that afternoon, Mahiru scolds Rado for doing the broadcast because now the eyes of the entire world are on him, which could put him in danger every time he goes out. However, when Rado tells her he did it because he wants to save the world, she tells him to at least get some rest. After that, she tries to open Alisa's old teddy bear, but realizes that Alisa's smart ring is still hidden inside. Seeing this, Rado takes it and rushes to the bathroom, where he finds a video message Alisa left for him. In the recording, Alisa says she discovered that the virus was man-made and that she couldn't trust anyone with the details. Rado is stunned to hear this and gets a little emotional when he sees Alisa crying about how much she misses him. Upon leaving, Rado acts as if nothing happened and goes for a walk with Mira, casually remarking on how much she resembles Alisa. During their walk, Mira apologizes for endangering his life the other day, but Rado dismisses it since Sui protected him. He then asks Mira if she minds being stuck with a guy who refuses to have fun with any girl. Deep down, he feels bad for making things difficult for him, but Mira simply smiles and tells him he's a kind man. A while later, Rado sits in his room wondering why anyone would create the virus. Meanwhile, the heads of the United Women's Organization meet to discuss Rado's recent actions. One of them says his rising popularity is enough to make the world believe Japan is a beacon of hope for all women, and the others agree. They also talk about Kyoji, who has already been with about 100 bad girls, and 28 of them are expecting big things in their bellies. They praise Kyoji's assistant for doing an excellent job, but criticize Mira for not getting any results from Rado. As a result, they decide to wake number 3 from his cold slumber so they can proceed with the next phase of their plans. About 5 years ago, a boy named Shuda Doi was constantly bullied at school by a guy named Takamatsu because of his appearance. Once, he was forced to imitate his favorite music star, but when he refused, Takamatsu emptied his bladder on him. Saddened, Doi left the bathroom and headed to his classroom, silently cursing everyone who had made fun of him. On the way, Doi saw his only friend, but the guy acted as if he didn't know him and walked away. This made Doi relive the moment he first met the boy, and it seems they became friends because they were both fans of the same musical artist. Once, Doi saw Takamatsu bullying his friend and decided to scare Takamatsu to save the boy, but even afterward, his friend felt too embarrassed to talk to him, so he walked away without saying thank you. Seeing this devastated Doi to the point that Yuzu, his attractive music teacher, noticed his bad mood while he was playing the piano. She asked him what was wrong, so he opened up about how he was bullied because he had white hair. Since Yuzu was the only one who cared, she tried to cheer him up by hugging him from behind, but she noticed he had a high fever. Worried, she took him to the hospital for a checkup, so after school that day, he went there. To his surprise, he discovered he had contracted the cellular sclerosis sclerosis virus and was told he would have to be put into hibernation for at least 5 years until a vaccine could be found. The next day, when Yuzu told the class about Doi's condition, everyone acted indifferently and went about their day, much to Yuzu's displeasure. That day, after school, Doi took his usual route home, but he ran into Takamatsu cornering his girlfriend, Erika. Unfortunately, Takamatsu saw him, so he attacked Doi and told him he was destined to die a virgin. As he walked away, Doi recovered, wondering why someone like Takamatsu could live and he couldn't. A few days later, Doi went to the hospital and was admitted to a cryogenic chamber where he slept for about 5 years. He now wakes up and is greeted by his attractive assistant, Karen, who tells him he'll be reliving his high school years with lots of fun. She spends the entire afternoon filling him in on what he's missed and then shows him his dorm room so they're ready for school the next day. While he's processing everything, he's somewhat relieved to learn that his father is still alive, but he has no idea whether his sister and mother are safe. The next day at school, Karen introduces Doi as the new transfer student, and the young man's fears return, thinking he'll be bullied again. After about 5 minutes, he looks around and realizes it's safe because most of the people who bullied him are gone, but he's still a little nervous since everywhere he goes is filled with attractive women. After class, Karen takes him to the music room and is surprised to find Yuzu still there. Overjoyed, Yuzu hugs him, but Karen casually signals that she'll have to reward Doi for overcoming his illness when he leaves. Yuzu asks Doi if he'll be free that evening because she'd like to talk to him about something. A while later, Doi sits in the field and fancies meeting Yuzu in her room, but pushes those thoughts away because being with her seems unrealistic. Soon Karen appears and teases him for not joining the girls in the field, so he tells her he prefers to sit alone. However, Karen ignores him and starts pointing out several girls who might be his type. Although they come in all shapes and sizes, Doi doesn't choose just anyone, so Karen promises to do her best to find him someone he likes. Later that night, Doi goes to see Yuzu as promised, but when he enters her room, he's surprised to find her wearing a light nightgown. Seeing his reaction, Yuzu apologizes for dressing so scantily, but everything she says bounces off Doi's ears as his eyes are glued to her. Surprisingly, Yuzu asks him how he feels about her, and as he gathers the courage to admit that he likes her, Yuzu dims the lights and kisses him. Afterwards, she jumps on top of him, slowly revealing her body, and tells him she'll do whatever he wants that night. Seeing this, Doi prays to the gods not to wake him if this is a dream, and when he realizes it isn't, he holds Yuzu and shows her how much he's missed her. A little baby oil later, Doi faints from exhaustion, and Karen, who was listening to everything, smiles because she has accomplished her mission. The next day in class, Doi is only thinking about how he and Yuzu got intimate, but he's snapped back to reality when Natsu, the girl next to him, asks what he's thinking about. She guesses that Doi is probably thinking about someone he likes, but he denies it, claiming he's thinking about his favorite song. Coincidentally, Natsu also likes the song, but before she can start a conversation with Doi, Hiragi, another girl, starts talking to him. Natsu gets jealous and leaves. That afternoon, when Doi visits the volleyball court, Rain, a girl in the class, tries to impress him by competing against Akira, a girl who's good at the sport. As they play, Akira throws a ball at Rain, knocking her down and sending Doi sprawling to the ground. Immediately, the other girls surround Doi to make sure he's okay, while Akira falls to her knees, pleading and apologizing. Although Doi tells her he was hit by an accident, she insists on making up for it with her ample assets, leaving Doi speechless. Around sunset, Yuzu runs into Doi and notices a wound on his head, so she kisses his forehead to make him feel better. Afterward, she asks if he enjoyed the previous night, and Doi tells her it was the best day of his life and that he wishes for many more nights like it. Hearing this triggers a switch in Yuzu's head, and she doesn't even realize when she starts taking off her clothes. Since Doi is now a man of culture, he doesn't hesitate to drink all of her essence, and after emptying himself, he completes the act, and the rest is history. Over time, Doi becomes obsessed with Yuzu and ends up having sex with her every time they meet. One morning, Doi wakes up to a kiss from Yuzu, and when he realizes he doesn't have to go to school that day, he tells her he wants to watch Netflix and relax. But Yuzu thinks otherwise and tells him she'd like more essence, so Doi agrees to give it to her until she's satisfied. The next day, Karen forces Doi to join the girls at the pool, claiming it's just exercise. A while later, the girls start racing to see who's the fastest swimmer, but when Akira sees Doi in the pool, she apologizes for hurting him the other day. Nervous about her shape and curves, Doi looks away and tells her she's fine with everything, but before he knows it, Rain appears and exposes Akira's assets. Seeing this shocks Doi, especially since he hasn't seen such beauty in a long time, but he explodes when Akira loses control and angrily throws Rain into the pool. Later, Natsu shows up at Doi's dorm room, and when he lets her in, he learns that she'll be living with him for a while. Meanwhile, a surprised Doi calls Karen demanding an explanation. Karen awkwardly makes an excuse about some problems with Natsu's room. Hearing this, Doi immediately realizes she's lying because he knows the girls at the pool were competing to see who gets to spend the night with him. Karen admits this and tells him that Natsu will be staying for a week, and after the following week, a different girl will come up to warm his bed. Stunned, Doi tries to protest, but calms down when Natsu tells him that she always ends up sleeping in the cold. The next morning, Doi is startled awake when he realizes Natsu is awake. It turns turns out he couldn't sleep all night, preoccupied with the idea of changing girls every week, since his desire was to see Yuzu almost every night. After finishing getting ready for school, he notices Natsu isn't dressed yet and tells him to hurry up so he won't be late. Hearing this, Natsu asks for help getting dressed because she's not used to doing it without maids or her roommate. Surprised, Doi agrees to help her, and while he does, he tries to stay focused because Natsu's figure is a tempting sight. After managing to do so with difficulty, he runs into Karen at school and tells her everything, but she reveals that she was the one who told Natsu to ask for help in the bathroom. Shocked, Doi spits all the water from his mouth in Karen's face, so she retreats to clean herself up. Later that afternoon, Doi talks to Yuzu on the phone and tells her about Natsu, but when he asks her to spend the night with him, Yuzu refuses. This makes Doi think she's avoiding him, but Yuzu insists that's not the case, and he realizes it's because she's seen him with other girls. Surprisingly, she tells him to get along with the others, but when Doi insists that he prefers her, Yuzu explains that the other girls would be upset if she monopolized him. After the call, Doi questions whether girls actually like him, and that night he wonders if Natsu likes him too. As he tries to sleep, Natsu jumps on him, claiming that she can't rest unless someone is in bed with her. Although Doi is stunned, he lets her join him. At some point, she reveals that she was supposed to marry a man 2 decades older at her father's behest, but that fate was shattered by the virus. Deep down, she's glad the pandemic happened and tells Doi it's because now she can be with him. She also confesses that she's loved him since the moment she first saw him. While Doi admits he likes how the world has changed, they then continue with a kiss, which leads to Doi removing Natsu's clothes so he can be with her. As his urges take over, they make love between the sheets, and he releases all the pent-up energy in his body. The next day, the United Women's Organization airs a reality show about Rado and his journey since waking from his cold sleep. 94% of women worldwide watch it, and almost all of them wish they could have sex with him, but Rado refuses. Soon after, Mira tells him that Mahiru has been spending a lot of time in the slums and that it could become a problem if it's discovered she's his sister. Upon hearing this, Rado decides to talk some sense into Mahiru, but as he leaves the room, he notices Mira seems worried about something. Elsewhere, Doi wakes up in bed and, after giving Natsu mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, she starts to feel sad because she'll be leaving her room in a few days. As Rado heads off to meet Mahiru, he sees Kyoji on the way and learns that he's going to be a father soon. Later that afternoon, Doi runs into Yuzu at school and tells her he's sad because he hasn't been seeing her lately. Deep down, he feels bad about being involved with Natsu, but when he's about to confess, Yuzu tells him not to worry about it since she understands that he belongs to all the girls at school. Curious, Doi asks for an explanation, but she starts crying and runs away. Later that day, Doi runs into Karen and tells her he's noticed strange things since waking up. He'd been told he was the only active man in the world, so he asks if that's true. Although Karen doesn't explicitly mention other men like Kyoji and Rito, she implies it based on his reaction. Doi asks if the school is a trap because he believes the United Women's Group wants to gather data to combat the virus. He feels all the girls at the school are being used against their will and demands they be left out of it. But Karen interrupts him, tells him to follow her to class, and reveals that the school was created so he can sleep with as many girls as possible to see if their offspring will inherit his immunity. She then clarifies that none of the girls are being held against their will because they all care about him and want to carry his seed. Upon hearing this, Doi is shocked because it sounds unbelievable, so Karen tells the class everything. The girls expose their private parts to prove they aren't playing around, and to their surprise, they do as they're told. Meanwhile, Rado is frustrated because he hasn't made any progress with the virus vaccine. Remembering that Mira gave him only a month to produce results, he starts to think twice before fulfilling the agreement. As he leaves the office, he bumps into a girl named Maria, and since her private parts are partially exposed, she runs away. Feeling embarrassed, another woman named Rhea watches everything from a corner and starts stalking Rado. She follows him and scares away some girls who want his autograph, claiming he's an idiot who sees women as mere tools. While Rado is wondering what's wrong with her, Mira calls him and asks to meet privately. Shortly after, Rado bursts into a meeting with the directors of the Japanese branch of Women United, questioning why Mira is no longer her assistant. Instead of answering, Mary, one of the directors, introduces Rhea and Maria as her new assistants, explaining that Maria is a bioscientist assigned to help with her research, while Rhea will handle her public relations. Upon hearing this, Mira decides to leave, prompting Rado to question the directors about the dismissal. One of them, Shuto, tells her to sleep with Mira if she likes her so much, but Rado shouts that she won't. After the meeting, Rhea blames Rado for Mira losing her job, believing it's because she refused to sleep with anyone. She then decides to restrict Rado's movements outside until he considers sleeping with someone, though the young man thinks she's being too harsh. Shortly after, Rhea runs into Mira and tries to catch up, as they're old friends, but Mira just insists that she look after Rado on her behalf. Hearing this infuriates Rhea because she still believes Rado sees women as tools, but Mira assures her that he's a good person. Later, while on a train, Rado is curious about where they're going. Maria tells him they're on their way to Cayman City to meet with someone important in the virus research. Rado is startled, and his reaction causes Maria to spill juice on him, so he excuses excuses himself to clean up. While he's doing that, Rado apologizes for scaring her, but she explains that she's not used to men. She becomes more talkative when Rado asks her what she knows about the virus. Remembering Alisa's message, he asks Maria if she thinks the virus is man-made, and she starts to consider it, mentioning that Cayman City is where the first victim appeared. A while later, Rado arrives in Cayman City and, exhausted from his journey, takes a dip in the hot springs. However, he's surprised when the other girls appear to join him, as he's unsure he can attend to them all. He decides to leave, but Akane stops him, begging him to help clean all the girls' backs, and he's forced to agree. He starts with Sui, and everything goes smoothly since she's flat-chested, but when it's Akane's turn, she forces him to give her a massage, which makes him blush. Barely managing to maintain his composure, Rado proceeds with the massage, but the moment he accidentally touches her private area, he runs away without looking back. The next day, Rado joins the girls at a hospital to meet a woman named Taniguchi, whose husband was the first to contract the virus. When the elderly woman sees them, she assumes they're there to inquire about her deceased husband, but refuses to share any information, explaining that his body was used for experiments after his death. Seeing her reaction, Rado asks what he needs to do to get her to talk. However, she claims he's just joking and tells everyone to leave. Surprisingly, she calls Alisa that night and tells her that Rado stopped by. The following day, Rado reappears, begging her to tell him what her husband was doing before he died, but she refuses to say anything. Instead, she advises him to become a harem king and sleep with all the girls, but Rado interrupts, saying he hasn't been with a woman since he woke up. Upon hearing this, Taniguchi demands a private conversation with Rado, where she asks him why he's passing up a golden opportunity that other men would die for. She begins to wonder if he likes men, but Rado denies it, insisting that he only wants to be with the girl he's in love with and that he'll spend his time searching for a cure until then. Hearing this, the old woman smiles but ends their conversation for the day. Later that night, Rado visits a public hot spring with Sui, but when a group of girls approach him, he runs to hide in a sauna. Unfortunately, a girl named Chloe enters and threatens to scream if he tries to leave. She then proposes a deal. If Rado can't stand the heat of the sauna, he has to do whatever she wants. Rado agrees and somehow manages to avoid having sex with her, despite her very attractive body. But when she faints from the heat, he takes her inside to make sure she's okay. When she regains consciousness, Rado tries to give her some water, but she insists he use his mouth or she'll scream. With no other option, Rado proceeds. But before things can go any further, Akane enters with Sui and Rhea, and they all think he wants to have sex. Angered, they leave him, but before he realizes it, Chloe exposes her breasts and tells him to have some milk. The next day, Taniguchi speaks privately with Mira and asks if she knows about Alisa. While Mira says she's an old friend of Rado's, she recalls a time when she spoke with her. Mira says Rado is selfish for refusing to mate, but deep down she finds it impressive that he keeps his desires under control in order to find a cure. Later, when Rado appears, Taniguchi asks him if he will ever have children, to which he replies that he will if he has no other choice. Taniguchi then asks if he will give up Alisa to do so, but he says that being with other girls wouldn't make him feel any different about Alisa because he is in love with her. Hearing this, Taniguchi smiles and promises to tell him about his husband, which excites him. That night, Taniguchi calls Alisa and tells her to meet with Rado quickly, lest she lose him to a group of pretty girls. But Alisa argues that she will love Rado no matter what. After the call, Taniguchi goes to sleep, but a suspicious person, his student, enters and injects him with a deadly chemical. The next morning, Rado is shocked to find Taniguchi in critical condition, but receives a portrait from a nurse who tells him Taniguchi wanted him to have it. Akane observes how everything unfolds and begins to suspect foul play. Later that morning, Reito, Sui, and Maria arrive at the hospital where Taniguchi's husband was kidnapped after becoming infected. Upon entering, Reito finds the place completely deserted, but discovers no clues that could aid his investigation. Meanwhile, Kyoji is having a great time as a sexy girl named Rika feeds him. Jealous, her other party companions try to steal his attention, taking turns feeding him milk. Kyoji enjoys being served, but since he's already been with all three girls repeatedly, he starts wanting something new. Back in Cayman City, Akane runs into Reito at the hot springs and tries to strike up a conversation with him, but Rhea doesn't like her and insists on leaving. However, Akane mentions Taniguchi's condition, explaining that she went through her medical records and discovered she had been poisoned. Hearing this, Rhea tries to leave, but Akane stops her and asks what she was doing until last night. Rhea claims she submitted a report about Reito to the directors and adds that he was alone when she did so. She then mocks Akane for being worried about a certain director, Kihara, leaving Akane completely shocked. The next day, Reito examines the portrait Taniguchi gave him and realizes it reacts to Alisa's smart ring. As his vehicle passes a school, Maria points it out, revealing that her younger sister attends it. Meanwhile, it's the same school Doi attends, and it turns out Karen and Yuzu have moved to different schools. Elsewhere, Kyoji and Nene head to the slums in search of a new girl to satisfy him. Kyoji soon spots Mahiru and is attracted to her, but Nene is skeptical because he chose her simply because she's Reito's sister. Later, Reito hides in the bathroom and uses Taniguchi's portrait to access a document showing how to create the virus. Shocked, he wonders why Taniguchi had it, but he begins to realize that the old woman didn't speak because she didn't trust anyone, making him wary of who he can trust on his team. That night, a girl tries to force a girl named Rain into a scissor game, but Rhea appears and electrocutes her. Rain kisses Rhea because she misses her, and when Rhea asks her for a favor, she says there's something she wants her to do and agrees. The next day, Rado is disappointed because the document he saw yesterday contained some corrupted files, and there's no way to recreate them. He wishes he had someone else to help him, and decides to ask Maria why the virus research is progressing so slowly. Maria says it's because the directors won't let her, and their excuse is that they need to focus their energy on food production. She adds that all the lead researchers are at the Women United World headquarters in the United States, and she wishes some of them could return. Soon, Nene appears and speaks to Rito about Kyoji's interest in Mahiru, and it's only a moment before Mahiru overhears. As he does, he breaks down, insisting that Kyoji isn't his type, so Rado tells Nene he'll pass on the message. Upon hearing this, Nene begs Rado to tell Kyoji himself. When he does, Kyoji manages to convince him to schedule a meeting with Mahiru. Minutes later, Nene informs Kihara that Mahiru has refused to mate with Kyoji, but since Kihara is in a meeting with the other directors, he tells Nene to handle the situation with Mahiru. After that, Kihara learns of a recent riot in the city and starts thinking of ways to resolve the issue. Rhea, observing, suggests using Rado to distribute food throughout the city to calm the people down. The directors immediately agree with this, so Kihara makes it final, insisting that they reinforce security around Rado. Meanwhile, Rado is in the bathroom with Maria and Akane, trying to get out without becoming a father. Akane quickly gets to the point and asks if he has any information about the virus. Seeing his surprised reaction, she tells him to be careful since investigating the virus could put his life at risk. Curious, Rado asks who might be coming for him, but Akane brushes him off and tells him that talented researchers have been disappearing recently and she doesn't know if they're alive. As she reveals that Director Kihara is her mother, she hears someone approaching the bathroom, so she smothers Rado with her breasts to avoid looking suspicious. When the door opens and Akane sees it's Rhea, she acts as if Rado is having sex with her. Rhea gets angry and leaves. Rhea then stops to see Mira, but when she confesses her feelings, she is rejected. She then decides she will make Mira forget about Rado soon. As time passes, Rado joins Akane, Sui, and Rhea at an underground research lab, and it turns out Akane has been conducting her research there for some time. She boasts that the research lab is undetectable and tells Reito not to trust the directors or Rhea because they are only interested in controlling the country. Moments later, Reito goes out to distribute food, and many girls are excited when they see him. However, some are unhappy to see him because they know the United Women's Group is using him to control the country. Meanwhile, Rhea notices suspicious activity on a rooftop, and it appears a sniper is targeting Reito. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, Rain appears, shoots him, and apologizes to Rhea since he couldn't capture the sniper alive. He then tells Rhea not to worry about anything because he has people watching the area for anything suspicious. Curious, Rain wonders why Rhea is worried about Reito and assumes she's fallen for him. But Rhea tells her she's only protecting Reito because Mira would be sad if he died. The next day, while Kyoji is on a date with Mahiru, Rika stares at him, and he immediately realizes she's jealous. Although he tries his best to seem interesting, Mahiru dumps him, and he's heartbroken over being rejected. So, the following day, he tries to get with his girlfriends one by one to feel better, but it doesn't work. Seeing his state of mind, Rina asks him if he likes Mahiru, and he lies and says no. Back at the underground lab, Rhea discovers that all her friends who were supposed to be in the United States have reported being hospitalized at the same hospital. Hearing this shocks Reito, and he begins to realize that the hospital might be where the virus first developed. Later that night, while Doi is in bed wondering why all the girls at school are interested in him, Natsu wakes up and holds him, trying to initiate another quickie since her time as his roommate is almost over. When she starts kissing him, he pulls away and tells her he's not in the mood, so she apologizes. After that, he goes outside for some fresh air, but Karen sees him and jokingly tells him he's not allowed to leave the school for security reasons. The next day, Karen tells all the girls in school to choose something from a box, explaining that one lucky girl will spend the next week with Doi, feeling safe and secure. Rain goes first and fails, followed by Hiragi, who also fails. Doi, watching, wonders how he went from being bullied to becoming a sought-after man that girls fight over to see who gets to call him dad at night. When a girl named Yanagi wins the contest, Doi is surprised because he doesn't like her. She's the brazen type. While he's relaxing in the bathroom, Yanagi comes in and tries to get a quickie with him. But while he's cornered against the wall, he remembers the times he was bullied and decides to run away from her. Afterward, he passes by a teacher's office, which is often his go-to place to relax whenever he's being bullied. While searching the place, Hiragi enters, wondering what she's doing there, but soon realizes the office is her safe haven. She'd seen bruises on Doi's body and realized he was being harassed. She then exposes her own body to prove she'd been harassed too. Doi is stunned by this, but he feels comfortable around her since they shared the same struggle a few years back. Curious, she asks to see his bruises, and when she does, she kisses him and lets him touch her private parts. Midway through, Doi kisses her bruises to make her feel better, which leads him to try her cake, quickly turning into a wonderful wonderfully delicious session. After 2 rounds, Doi decides to finish things with Hiragi in her bedroom. But when he arrives, he's surprised to find Yanagi waiting for him. Upon seeing Doi with Hiragi, Yanagi becomes angry and reminds Doi that she won the contest and isn't in the mood to share her private parts with Hiragi. However, Hiragi argues that it's Doi's responsibility to decide who she wants, but her reaction betrays that Doi has already ruined her. When Yanagi realizes this, she exposes her assets and asks Doi to try it with her. But this leads to an argument with Hiragi about who will be able to guard Doi. Seeing this shocks Doi. He then runs out of his room in disbelief because he never thought 2 beautiful girls would fight over him. Outside, he tries to call Yuzu, but when she doesn't answer, he wonders if she's avoiding him because he's having sex with other girls. Akira soon appears and sits with him. She asks if it's fun having Yanagi as her roommate, to which Doi replies that he doesn't get along with Yanagi at all. Afterward, he accidentally catches a glimpse of Akira's private parts because she had just finished a run a few minutes earlier, but he looks away when Akira turns to face him. When she asks about his head injury, he lies, saying it still hurts. She apologizes again and offers to do anything he wants to make it up to him. Being a cultured man, Doi tells her to show him her private parts, and she doesn't hesitate, leaving him shocked. As he strokes them and realizes they are soft and supple, he begins to feel guilty about what he's doing. So he leaves Akira on the edge and runs away. The next day, he decides to meet with Akira and apologize for what he did last time, but Akira tells him to make it up to her by helping her clean. When he agrees, he's shocked when she closes the door and jumps on top of him, begging him to give her oral sex because she's been dreaming about him since last night. Meanwhile, Natsu overhears everything from behind the door and is saddened by the thought of losing Doi. After the couple finishes, Akira apologizes to Doi for taking advantage of him, and he tells her he doesn't care. Later that night, Doi refuses to spend the night with Yanagi, so he dismisses her and enjoys a night's sleep alone. The next day, Karen decides to assign him a different girl each day to keep him occupied until he graduates. She chooses Yanagi as the first candidate and reveals that she will have to give Doi a morning kiss. Upon hearing this, Doi is shocked because he doesn't like to behave intimately in public, so Karen has all the girls look the other way to make sure he kisses Yanagi. As Doi kisses her, he realizes that something is getting large and hard and tries to run away, but he slips and hurts himself. Seeing this, Karen forces him to see the nurse, who takes her time examining his body. When it's over, Doi realizes the bed is too big for him, but that's when Karen shows up with Natsu, Hiragi, and Akira, because she knows Doi is starving. As she leaves, Natsu wonders how he'll make Doi feel better. Then Hiragi shows him the way by kissing his bruises. Since the sensation is euphoric, he starts making loud, joyful noises, but the girls tell him to tone it down because they haven't even started anything yet. After that, they take turns drinking Doi's essence, which then leads to a delicious 4-way session. Karen watches everything from a screen and talks to another girl named Hoshina. The next day, Rain works on a chemical to make Doi fall in love with her, but she hides when he enters. She starts hinting that she'll be spending the week with Doi, so he gets curious and asks her what she likes about him. After Rain tells him she likes him because he's affectionate, he appreciates her for that, but refuses to have sex with her because she's completely flat. Hearing this, she tells him he has a strong personality, but when Doi doesn't believe her, he runs away, promising to become voluptuous by the next time they meet. Later that night, Karen meets with Doi with a message about Yuzu, lying that the teacher has transferred schools for family reasons. Hearing this infuriates Doi, and it gets worse when Karen tells him he won't see Yuzu for another year. He yells at Karen to bring Yuzu back, reminding her that she's supposed to hand her over to him whenever he wants, but Karen tells him she can't. He then tries to cheer him up by offering him several chicks for the night, but Doi refuses and insists on sleeping alone. The next day, he randomly selects another girl to be his date and doesn't hesitate to kiss her in front of everyone. He sleeps with the same girl that night, but the following day he's shocked when Karen introduces Hoshina as a new transfer student because she used to be his classmate. In the past, since Hoshina was the hottest girl in school, all the boys in his class wanted to become the chair she sat on, which irritated Doi. Once, while Takamatsu was bullying him, Hoshina appeared and comfortably ate lunch while watching Doi become a punching bag. Doi remembers this at school, but that's when Hoshina shows up and starts asking for his help. At first, Doi asks her if she's been informed about the school, and when she replies that she has, he jokingly tells her to get naked. Seeing her reaction, Doi walks away and tells her there's no way he'll help her after what she did in the past. Later that afternoon, Hoshina runs into Natsu and Hiragi and asks them what Doi likes, but Natsu flips her the bird and tells her he doesn't see her as a classmate because she's too old for the school. The next person Hoshina meets is Akira, and she treats her the same way and leaves. In class, Doi wonders why Hoshina has returned to school, so Karen tells her it's because she wants to be an artist. She explains that since men are scarce, it's quite difficult for Hoshina to be a successful artist, but it will be easier for her if Doi destroys her and adds her to his collection, because by then, the United Women's Group will want to work with her. After hearing this, Doi says he doesn't feel capable of ruining Hoshina if she doesn't want him to, so Karen tells him to give her a chance. So the next day, Hoshina shows up to class without a skirt, and it turns out Karen told her to do it to get Doi's attention. The following day, she shows up again without a skirt or shirt, so Doi takes pity on her and kisses her. After the kiss, this, he tells her to meet him on the rooftop after class, and she obeys. But when she gets there, she realizes that Doi wants to have sex in front of 3 other girls. Shy, she begs them to do it in her room, but when he reminds her that his career is on the line, she lets him have his way. After about 2 seconds, Doi realizes that her virginity is intact, and although this surprises him, he promises to be gentle. After having sex with her, Doi tells Karen how amazing he feels at school. Karen tells him he can go even wilder if he wants. When she teases him, saying he's too chivalrous, he asks if he can have sex with her instead, and she says yes. However, he rejects her and asks her to bring a certain girl to school, and she agrees. The next day, Doi has the time of his life measuring all the girls at school, and the nurse smiles at him because it's an opportunity for him to let loose. She then bends down to make up his bed for him to rest, and as Doi watches, he swallows hard because he knows he's not conveying that. A few days later, Karen informs Doi that his package has arrived, and it turns out to be Erika, Takamatsu's girlfriend. When Erika sees him, she's shocked and tries to scream, but Karen glances at her, and she falls silent. As Karen leaves, Doi looks at Erika one last time and remembers the moment Takamatsu emptied his bladder on him. He then decides to throw a bucket of water on Erika. This infuriates Erika, and when she tries to escape, Doi grabs her by the neck and tells her she's finished. Seeing that he means it, she threatens to cut out her tongue and die, but Doi tells her he has no interest in applauding her. Instead, he drags her away and tells her to drink all the bruises her boyfriend inflicted on him. Having no other choice, Erika licks them, and Doi lets out a devilish laugh of satisfaction. Meanwhile, Karen calls Principal Mary and tells her about Doi's case and his rampage. She then asks about Yuzu, who is pregnant, and Mary tells her that Yuzu is fine. She then asks Karen to continue sending her the girls who become pregnant, but Karen insists on having a research lab closer to the school. Upon hearing this, Mary tells her that it's more difficult to build labs because the United Women's headquarters might find out. She mentions that her superiors have sent someone to investigate their affairs in Japan, and she believes they are aware that there are other active men besides Rado. After hearing this, Karen implies that there might be an informant and points the finger at Principal Hope, since she used to work at the United Women's headquarters. The next day, Doi kisses a random girl in class, which makes the other girls jealous. Earlier, Karen noticed the girls weren't as thirsty as usual, so she told them they'd be rewarded with eternal privileges if any of them managed to become Dewey's first or second wife. Hearing this, all the girls wanted to win Doi over, but now they're angry because a random girl has his attention. Later that afternoon, Doi refuses to join the girls for a swim because he's a little tired. So Hiragi, Rain, and Yanagi have a race to see who can make him feel better. As they start their race, Natsu pulls Doi aside and starts cutting the bottom of his swimsuit. Shocked, he wonders what's going on, so Natsu tells him to put on Akira's tight swimsuit so the other girls won't see him. Minutes later, Yanagi and the others finish their race, but when they realize they can't see Doi, they leave the pool area, thinking he's gone to class. Later, Doi emerges from the water and is trapped with Akira and Natsu, who want him to punish them for what they'd done and for showing off his assets. Doi gives in to their baser desires and submerges them both underwater, but even after he's finished, Natsu begs for more. He then spanks and pounds her until she gives in. After that day, more girls at school start wanting him, and he throws himself into sex with all his might to fulfill their wildest fantasies. One day, he invites an unfortunate girl to his dorm room, who is shocked to see Erika chained up like a dog. Doi tells the girl not to worry, and then proceeds to ask Erika if Takamatsu died from the virus, but she claims she doesn't know. Doi tells her he doesn't care whether Takamatsu is alive or dead, which angers her. She then breaks down and asks him why he's still angry about something that happened 5 years ago. Doi silences her, saying he still feels like the bullying was yesterday. He then throws the other girl onto his bed and has sex with her while Erika watches. Later that night, Doi wakes up and notices Erika is having trouble sleeping, so when he checks on her, he realizes she needs drugs because she's an addict. He decides to give her some, but puts it on her tongue and tells her to go get it. As she crawls toward him desperately, Doi grabs her, kisses the drug onto her mouth, and lets her go. The next day, Rado heads to a train with Rhea, Akane, and Sui, bound for the hospital where the virus originated. Meanwhile, Chloe reveals her research to Pope, telling him that the Japanese branch of Women United is working hard to keep other men out of the public eye. The Japanese branch of Women United holds a meeting to discuss the appointment of a new official, Mansfield, to the Office of Peacekeeping Activities. Knowing how capable the office is, the directors wonder if Mansfield is coming to Japan in search of Izzanami, a terrorist organization, but dismiss that, believing it must be for something deeper. They learn that Mansfield is not just a typical military officer, but one who rose very quickly thanks to her skills in intimate situations, and they should do everything possible to avoid a confrontation with her. They then ask Hope to proceed with their plan, given that they have the initiative with the high numbers at their disposal. In the morning, Doi chooses Hikaru, the next girl to satisfy his desire, and kisses her, but she rejects him, saying it's that time of the month. He backs off, but Karen looks at Hikaru suspiciously. That night, Mary calls Karen and tells her that the World Headquarters messenger will arrive the next day. Mary ends the call after learning that everything is fine. Meanwhile, Hikaru plays with her kitten outside and receives a call from Alisa, who who apologizes for going to such lengths to infiltrate the school as an undercover agent. Then he tells Hikaru that they will proceed with their plans as soon as the World Headquarters messenger arrives. During that time, Doi removes Natsu's seals in the girls' dormitory bathroom, and she notices his improvement compared to their first time, when he was trembling like a leaf. She welcomes him, and he sees Hiragi and Yanagi waiting for him, both ready for some extracurricular activities. There, the trio washes his body and makes sure his drawn longsword is well cared for. Hiragi, who didn't participate in his pool fantasy, appears and asks him to have sex with her first. It's up to her to tame her tiger while the others happily wait their turn. After having sex with the girls, they take a hot bath, and Doi remarks that he's living the life everyone wants. Suddenly, Yanagi joins them, but Hiragi tries to keep her teacher away from her, saying she belongs to another faction. Yanagi hastily denies this and tells them how they called her redhead during the swimming race. Realizing they've been tricked, Doi adds her to his list and gives her his enormous sausage. She happily savors the moment and hugs him until she's nearly fainting. The next day, Doi acts on his fantasies and realizes his inhibitions toward women have been broken. Meanwhile, Reito and his team visit Cayman City Hospital, the place they suspect the virus originated from. Akane asks Reito how he feels about Mira, and he stutters much worse than you guys trying to take down the bad guys. Judging by his reaction, she concludes he's a virgin and mocks him for hiding behind the mask of being a Chad when he doesn't know how to do it. They search the abandoned hospital and spot a large vent, big enough for them to crawl through. Meanwhile, Rhea arrives in Japan, and Kihara, along with other directors, greet her, mistaking her for Mansfield. She corrects them, explaining that she's simply Mansfield's assistant. During this time, Reito and his companions crawl through the ventilation shaft. He gets a very close look at Maria's assets, and as a result, they lose their balance and fall into a brightly lit room. There, they encounter Hope, and Maria asks if the other researchers are trapped there. Hope happily tells them they won't get out alive and waits for her officers to take them down. But to Reito's squad's surprise, soldiers appear and kill Hope and her help. Chloe then reveals herself and tells them her full name, Chloe Mansfield, the head of the peacekeeping office. As she rambles on about her infiltration and investigation, they hear a loud explosion. She then informs them that the building has been rigged with bombs and that they need to evacuate. They rush out of the building and escape in their helicopter. Just after leaving, they see the hospital collapse and realize they were very close to discovering the source of the virus. The next day, Dewey skips the entire step-by-step process with the girls and decides to take on 4 of them at once. He calls it his paradise and promises to enjoy every last second of it. Karen watches him give it his all and marvels at the spectacle. Later that night, he interrogates Hoshino, who had been caught trying to escape the school grounds, and promises to let her return after Dewey fulfills all her desires. As they argue, they hear an explosion. Meanwhile, Chloe talks to Rito and tells him what she's found so far since he went public, concluding that the Japanese branch of Women United is shady. At the same time, Rhea has a meeting with the directors and tries to sell out Director Hope, whom Chloe has taken out. She reveals that she's aware of Kihara's orders and then questions him about the findings regarding others who possess virus resistance. The board members are shocked that she knows so much, so Kihara orders his unit to arrest Rhea. Suddenly, the officers draw their guns on the directors and reveal that they work for headquarters in the United States. As if that weren't enough, Shudo comes clean, and the other directors realize that she's the mole feeding headquarters information. Rie then arrests them on a series of charges. In the helicopter, Chloe tells them how the Japanese branch of Women United has been sabotaging their investigation. She also informs them about the global terrorism that occurred just after Kihara revealed herself to the world. She shows them Alisa's picture and tells them that she is sided with Izzanami, the opposing group. Suddenly, they hear another explosion and see it coming from a school. Chloe then tells them that she has just received a report of another boy like Reito at that school, and he has been kidnapped by terrorists. Later that night, Doi dreams of Yuzu enjoying her ice cream, but he wakes up to find himself in a hospital. Karen is overjoyed when she sees that he has woken up, and after the nurses leave, he apologizes for his condition and explains that terrorists attacked the school and tried to take him. Suddenly, his girls appear, looking worried, and rush to him after giving him a good look. Minutes later, Karen takes him outside and shows him that the fence is well protected, so the terrorists shouldn't be able to come looking for him. Although the same thing happened with the school, she says the reason the terrorists were able to invade was because they had a spy inside. She then asks him why he saved Erica if she thought he hated her. Dwight tells her he acted on reflex, and she calls him a good person before warning him to be careful since he's very important. He agrees and declares himself the last man on Earth, but she confesses that there are 4 others. 2 of the 5 never woke up, and all of them suffered from the cellular sclerosis virus. Upon learning that there are other men, his past trauma almost resurfaces, especially since he believes Takamatsu might still be alive. When Karen notices his mood, she tells him that the other men are in his way and reveals that she plans to move him from Cayman to Tokyo, but there's a messenger from United Women nearby. As she rambles energetically, Doi asks her what her goal is, and she replies that she wants to be powerful and important. He then asks if she wants to become the head of United Women Japan, but Karen corrects him, saying she wants to be #1 in the world. Instead of telling him she's delusional, he calls it a grand dream, and she tells him she wants to make him the #1 man in the world. Curious, he asks why they haven't had sex yet, and she replies that she simply wants to be his assistant. However, she mentions that if he wants to give her his seed, she'll gladly accept it, but her status won't change beyond being his assistant. He agrees with her logic, and they shake hands. Meanwhile, what they don't know is that Hikaru is watching them. After they finish talking, Hikaru contacts Alisa and apologizes for not being able to capture Doi. She tells Alisa that she will also be leading in Cayman, and learns that Alisa and the other terrorist members have managed to capture the 4th man, who is still asleep. At headquarters, Shuto tells Reido's group that Kyoji will be joining him there due to the current circumstances. Moments later, Chloe informs them about how the terrorists used their arrival as a distraction to simultaneously attack several locations and steal the 4th surviving male. She believes the terrorists were reacting to the tyranny of the Japanese branch. Reido finds it hard to believe Alisa is among the terrorists and wonders what she's up to. Chloe commends him for not bowing to the Japanese branch and promises to keep him safe at headquarters. Later that night, she briefs her superiors on the status of the 4 remaining men at her disposal. She says Kyoji has abandoned his duties as a man and wonders if he's fallen in love. Her boss then tells her to take good care of them. After the call, Chloe laughs excitedly and says utopia is almost here. Meanwhile, Reido reflects on Alisa's actions. He checks her phone and, with the help of her pendant, sees that she's currently in Niigata, Japan, but that's all he can get from her phone. Suddenly, Akane appears and tells her she has something important to say. He quickly takes her to the bathroom and turns on the showers, but she tells him she doesn't care. Chloe, meanwhile, goes to Kyoji's room to greet him and sees Reina there with him and Nene. After assuring him that the other girls are fine, she tells him that Nene isn't allowed. He disagrees with her and tells her that not all men will do what she wants. Akane, on the other hand, tells Reido that his mother may be corrupt, but she was certain that she wasn't responsible for creating the virus. Akane tells him about her brother, who died 5 years ago from the virus, and recalls how Kihara didn't attend the funeral because she was doing everything she could to help the country deal with the pandemic. Reido listens calmly and tells her he will speak with Chloe to arrange a meeting with Kihara. After getting out of the shower, Maria bursts into their room and informs them about Alisa's live broadcast. Alisa reveals that her sex name is Izzanami and that they are not terrorists. She shows the world the 4th male whom they have awakened and tells them that the United Women are evil. She shows them photographs of satellite debris in a factory and tells them that it contained a high concentration of the virus, meaning that the current leadership of United Women is the one who spread the virus around the world. She mentions how United Women's goal is to create a world of only women, which is why they have invested enormous resources in the United States to create a way to give birth using only female genes. Mira recalls that Alisa told her something when she was in a lab. Currently, Alisa is demanding that United Women hand over the men in their custody so that the women can mass-produce offspring. She tries to say more but runs out of time, and the hijacked network is restored. Reido immediately bursts into Chloe's office and demands an explanation, and she logically asks him why he's still alive if United Women's goal is to eliminate all men. He then storms out of her office after she flashes him. After he leaves, she reports to her superiors and assures them that everything is under control. Reido meets with his colleagues and Akane, who once tried to contact her mother but received no information. He then suggests they leave headquarters. They go into their room to continue their discussion, but they see 2 unfamiliar people, one of whom is a man who introduces himself as Doi. Before going to Reido's room, Karen used the sophisticated technology of United Women to age Doi and turn him into a real adult and assured him that he would maintain his new appearance for 30 years. After the operation, Doi looked much more attractive and no longer needed his nerdy glasses because his nearsightedness had lessened. Karen styled his hair, and he looked like a perfect product of the appearance enhancement. Currently, he's about to give Reido the biggest surprise in the entire anime. While Reido is quite stunned, he comes face to face with another numbered man. Seeing them together, Maria is shocked because it's against the rules to enter a numbered person's room without permission. But Karen quickly makes up an excuse, and they let him in. She then asks Reido what his opinion is about Chloe and the terrorists. She and Doi watch Reido hesitate, unsure of which side is right. Upon learning that they were survivors of the incident, Maria rushes to check on her sister Rain. When she sees Rain, she hugs her, while Hiragi and the other girls are surprised that they're sisters. Maria thanks Hiragi and the other girls for taking care of her sister, but Rain claims that she's the one who takes care of them. Hearing this, Maria realizes she's bragging, so she pulls Rain's cheeks and tells her to be nice. After that, Rain remembers that Maria is now Reido's assistant, so she curiously asks if they've had sex yet, but the question surprises Maria, and she ends up spilling her entire drink on the girls. Later, in Doi's room, he asks Karen what she thinks of Reido, to which she mentions that she heard he's a softie. Upon hearing this, Doi tells her that he feels Reido seems intelligent, unlike Kyoji, who only cares about being with lots of girls. Although he has a carefree appearance that makes girls swoon over him, Doi wishes he could be with Yuzu, but Karen tells him that Yuzu was sent to a safe place after the terrorist attack. She also also tells him that she hasn't yet informed her superiors about Yuzu's location and reminds him to look forward to meeting Chloe the next day. Meanwhile, Rito summons Mira, and when she appears, he begs her to join him in the bathroom. There, he turns on the shower so no one can overhear their conversation and asks her to run away with him. But she tells him that if he can give her his seeds, then she will accept. He painfully rejects her, and she bursts into tears before experiencing a breakdown. Mira tells him that she wishes she could go with him, but it's not possible. He empathizes with her, and they lean in to share a kiss, but Pope bursts into the bathroom with some officers and takes them away. On the way, he tells them that all the members of their factions have been captured because they fell into his trap. She plans to take him to the United States, where Izzanami won't be able to reach him easily. Rito realizes this is bad news, and that he won't be able to see Alisa if he goes. To his surprise, his girls appear and take out the officers. Unfortunately, Pope uses Mira as a hostage, but an assistant appears and eliminates her. Rito and his team flee, while Chloe's officers pursue them. During this time, Chloe argues with Doi and Karen makes two requests. One is to meet with the three geniuses who are her backbone, and the other is that Karen be given the position of Director of National Affairs. With Reia's help, Rito's group finds a place to blend in. They run into Mahiru and some locals, and Rito thanks Reia, but she tells him she's helping him for someone else's sake. Later that night, Doi decides to have a good time with his girls, and they struggle to keep up with his new transformation. He gives them the time of their lives until they finally tire. After the action session, he meets up with Karen, who tells him that Chloe won't give up easily and informs him of Rito's escape. Doi realizes that Rito is bolder than he thought and will be busy doing the manly chores Rito left behind. Later, Reia takes them to a boat and tells Rito that she and Mira won't be boarding with them. Rito thanks her for her help so far and then speaks privately with Mira, thanking her and vowing to return for her. He hugs her and tells her to stay safe, then boards the boat. There, Hikaru tells him he'll be taking them to Taiwan because it's too dangerous to stay in the country. She quickly silences him, saying that Alisa wants to see him and that they're headed there. The ship takes off and Rito can't stop thinking about Mira. Mahiru sees him and hands him a tablet before storming off. He receives a call from Kyoji, who congratulates him on running away. He tells him that Chloe has stopped sending him girls and that he's been holed up at home. After the call, Kyoji tells Nene to make sure her girls are protected. That night, as Rina walks by, Doi sees her and calls her pretty, and Karen gets nervous at his thoughts. However, Chloe punishes Pope for letting Rito's faction escape under his watch. Pope then asks for a second chance, and Chloe agrees, warning him what will happen if he fails. She then arrests Mira and Reia. Reia tries to take the blame, but Chloe plans to test the strength of their friendship. After they are taken away, Chloe announces her plan to eradicate all men. Days later, Karen takes Doi to choose from a list of girls. He sees Rina, and Karen convinces him to do what he wants. When Rito's team arrives in Taiwan, they are struck by the beauty of the place. Suddenly, Rito spots Alisa and confirms he isn't dreaming. He rushes to her and hugs her, telling her he's glad she's okay. He explains his plan to create a cure for the virus and asserts that they will do it themselves if no one else does. She instantly remembers how cool it sounded when he said the same thing to her as children and agrees. This concludes today's video. If you liked it and want more, comment more and I'll get to work.